Hi there, everyone. Just letting everyone in. Sorry, I took a little bit of time. I seem to be having a bit of internet issues, but hopefully those will be resolved as we continue. Just letting everyone in. There's a very fancy reindeer top you have, Nancy. Merry Christmas.
My sisters and I have a thing since the kids were little that we would get three, when we were together every Christmas Eve and Christmas. And this year she bought them and then none of us could be together. So I thought you'd all appreciate it, little Christmas.
Bit of Christmas spirit. Thank you. Okay, we've got most of you in. I'm hoping that my internet connection remains relatively stable. So let's see. All right. Well, I hope you've all had, for those of you that celebrate Christmas, I hope you've had a good weekend of festive fun. We certainly had a peaceful time. My family do Christmas Eve, so we celebrated having Christmas dinner. And then I thought I'd have a lovely time on Christmas Day, spending most of it in my pajamas. I woke up to my garage being flooded with sewage and goodness knows what, and there was a blocked pipe. So I was dealing with plumbing issues, which was not a good day on Christmas of all days. Anyway, thankfully it'll hopefully be resolved soon. Yeah, but I think it's been I don't know about you guys, it feels like it's been a long week since we met last Monday on the solstice. It really does feel like the week has been long. And when I was feeling into the energies of where we're at right now and what we're going to be working with this week, what I was kind of given is that with the solstice and the conjunction that happened last Monday, there's a new energy now that has been birthed within us and within our world. And this energy is now moving through our systems, our energy field, our energy bodies, and all the different systems that make us up. And as a result, we are possibly feeling exhausted and drained and tired and just wanting to rest or lays about. And I must say, with all of these, I certainly feel the shifting and the changing and the moving of energy within my physical body, which is always, it can be a little challenging as it moves around, because it tends to get overly excited at night and I'm trying to sleep. So I feel a lot of movement, and it's also, I'm noticing when I close my eyes trying to sleep, there's a lot of color and movement in behind my eyes, and it's interesting to see. I certainly the other day had pink and gold flashes and bursts of color moving around while my eyes were closed. So there's definitely something exciting happening within us, and also, at the same time as that birthing is happening, there is the residue of all the stuff that we have cleared, particularly in the last few months of this year. And as this clearing happens, there is more and more integration that happens within us, in an energetic integration that happens within us. And this is going to take some time to be completed. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. I think that it's certainly, we're in the throes of it, and perhaps the beginning of it, but it is something that we will become more comfortable with, I think, and adapt and adjust to it as it continues. So what is also important is that we take time out to rest, to meditate, to be still, to be quiet, and to do things that support this integration. Listening to your body, although I have to say I have eaten incredibly badly in the last week. I've wanted all the things that I shouldn't have. And I must say I've been too tired to fight the cravings, and I have stuffed my face with chocolate and food that I shouldn't eat. But I think, well, it's Christmas. I'll sort it out next year. And I think that it was interesting. A couple of years ago, I had a client who used to get incredibly frustrated because he said, you know, he tried to have a really healthy diet and eat lots of greens and all of that sort of stuff. And he used to go through these phases where all he'd want to eat was sugar. And then he'd have a phase where all he wanted to eat was carbs. And he used to get quite upset with himself because, you know, he said, why wasn't his body craving the good things? And I remember at the time suddenly seeing a pattern in depending on what's going on and energetically and collectively for us will determine the cravings that we have. So it's always interesting to see whether it's carbs or sugar that we're searching for. And certainly the sugar is obviously about energizing ourselves. So needing to energize ourselves, needing to do things that energize our energy, or our energy systems. And the carbs are really about being able to kind of ground and integrate the energy. So I've learned to say, okay, well, if my body is craving sugar and all I want to do is eat chocolate, then I need to do things that are going to energize my system. And what are those things? I mean, just off the top of my head, for me, it's spending time in nature. It's feeling and allowing that energy to re-energize me. And then if I'm craving carbs and those sort of things, it's focus on grounding and doing grounding exercises and focusing really on being present in my body. So if you're having those cravings, you know, there are healthier alternatives. But this integration will continue for some time. So we do need to start to allow the process to happen and to surrender into it and really tap into the intuitive aspect of us that is really the part of us that will tell us what it is that we need to do and how we can help ourselves and support ourselves through this time. What I find when I was feeling into this energy is I suppose there's a level of, it's a weird feeling. There's a level of frustration because there's no inner drive to do anything. There's no will or energy to do anything, and yet I have a lot of things that I need to get to and things that I have in place that I need to attend to, and I just have absolutely nothing in me that says get to them. I'm certainly not waking up in the morning, bouncing out of bed and thinking, okay, let's get to that to-do list and get things done. So there's a level of frustration that I'm certainly feeling, and I'm sure many of you are feeling that too, because, you know, I almost feel like I want to prepare things for the new year and get some things in place while work is relatively quiet and we have this quiet time, but I'm definitely not doing it. And then on the other hand, there's also this part of me that just thinks, oh, you know, everything will happen in its own time. Just relax, go with it. Take the time out because it's not going to last. So I seem to be moving between those two parts of myself on a moment-to-moment basis. And when I felt into, you know, where are we right now? What is it that we need to be focusing? And it really was this real need to surrender into the process that we are in. And the more we surrender, the faster we adapt to the current energies, and the faster we will come out of this, what's the word? Low energy, because I wanted to say stagnant energy, but it's not stagnant. There's movement happening, but it's definitely this feeling of low external energy. So the more we surrender into it, the more we allow this process of integration to happen, the faster we adapt and the better better able we will be able to, the better we will be within ourselves, and able to then utilize what is shifting and changing within ourselves, and to be able to use that energy moving forward. So the guidance really is this week is to just go with the flow. Don't push yourselves in any way, because the pushing is going to be challenging. You're really going to have to dig deep to find the energy to push against whatever it is that's going on. So rather just surrender into the flow. And there's also this real need to pull within yourself, is to really go deeply within yourself, to connect to this activation that is happening inside of you, to connect to this new energy that is birthing within you. Because that energy, as we connect to it, it grows and becomes something a lot more tangible for us and a lot more real for us, rather than something and unknowable. It's almost like we need to know who are we in this new energy, who are we becoming with this new energy being activated within us. And there really is an incredible growth happening on an intuitive level, and we're going to find that our intuition becomes much sharper, that our dreams become a lot clearer, the messages and the insights that we need become more readily available. And everything just seems to speed up on that level. But we do need to take the time to connect to this energy that is activating and awakening within us. And when we do that, we get to feel into that space of, what is this energy calling me to do? What is the next step that I need to take in my life? What am I being shown? What am I being what am I being called to move into? Because there are changes and shifts that are happening in us. And it feels like there's almost this reorganization that is happening within us. And within that reorganization, we become different. And I think that this year, possibly we've learned a lot more about ourselves. We've learned to face a lot of the things that we perhaps haven't faced in the past, that have been thrust upon us, and we've been forced to work through things. And as a result of that, we are different. And perhaps that difference is not necessarily something completely foreign to who we are in our essence. So it is about connecting to that essence and working through this need to have our lives aligned with what we thought it was going to be. Because I think what we thought it was going to be is now different. And if we don't start connecting with that intuitive part of ourselves, we're going to be playing catch up. And I'd far rather, be a little bit more conscious and connected to myself, so that I know the steps that I'm taking are not going to be leading me, in a circle. I'm going to be able to move forward. And I think that for much of the last few years, I do feel like we've been circling and going round and round and round. And yes, there's been a movement, almost like a labyrinth. We've been moving to the center of our being. This movement has brought us to the center of our being. But at some point, there's a part of us that needs to step out of that circle and start moving forward again. And what we've gathered in that circling experience is what we are going to need moving forward. And if we use the time now, while the world is relatively quiet, in the sense that many people are still in lockdown or in another level of lockdown, it's Christmas time, it's New Year, nothing really happens now. But if we can utilize this time to move inside, to connect with that energy that is birthing within us, we are going to start to feel what it is that we're being called to and what we're going to be stepping into in the new year. And I can't quite believe that we're already at the end of 2020. By the time we do our next webinar, it's going to be the beginning of a new year. And I do feel like we've lived 5 years in 1 year this year. And I'm feeling this real need to sit quietly and to reflect on everything that we have been through in this year, everything that we have learned, everything that we have experienced, and to instead of looking back at the year and saying, you know, for a lot of people, this has been the worst year of their life, because there have been so many things, dramatic things that have happened. It has been a very dramatic year. And I think a lot of people reflect back on the year and say, well, this has been the worst year of my life. You know, this happened or that happened. And there's been a lot of trauma that we've all had to work through. But there's incredible gifts that have been given to us in this time. And we need to actually be able to look back and say, well, what are those gifts? Because those are the gifts that we will carry forward into the next year. We can leave the pain behind. We can leave the trauma behind. But what we need to gather is the gifts. And the more conscious we become of what those gifts are, the less likely we are to hang on to the trauma of it or the pain of it and take that into the new year. So I'm certainly going to be having a New Year's Eve, a little ceremony thing here at my home with a couple of friends, and we're going. You know, they don't know this yet. We'll be guiding through a process where they can actively become aware of the gifts that they have gathered in this year, and to acknowledge the pain, but also to allow it to be released and to be let go of. And I think that, you know, if we can do that this week, if we can really start to focus on what have I learned, how have I grown, what have I healed within myself, what have I come to understand about myself, what have I learned about myself. I mean, the fact that we have survived 2020 shows the level of resilience that we all have, that we sit here and we come together as a group every week. And we've been doing that. I mean, most of you have been here every week since sometime in March. You know, there's a level of resilience there. There's the gift of this group and the circle that we've created together that is something that, you know, I don't think we would have done it any other year. This was the year that we needed to do it. This is the year that we needed to come together. And if we can start, you know, even if you start with that, because I certainly am incredibly grateful to have this opportunity to meet with you every week and to connect and to share. And yeah, for many of us, it's been one of the things that we've been able to hold on to. You know, I know that I started the daily emails 2 years ago, and as a result of suddenly waking up one day and thinking, well, you know, why am I only sharing what's going on in an energetic level with the people that ask, or the people that know me well enough to phone me and say, what the hell is going on and why am I feeling this way? You know, and so that has been something that I felt called to do, was to share every day what was happening for us. But I think that this is another level, because it means that we're able to connect in a different way, to be able to share in a different way, to be able to recognize that we're all in a storm together, and that we're not alone, and that we're not mad, and we're not losing our minds, and, you know, everyone is kind of on the same page and feeling the same way. And for me, it's been incredible to be able to see your faces every week and to get to know you and to feel that connection that this group brings. And I think it's you know, the fact that on a soul level, I think we all know each other and have known each other for millions of years. But the fact that, you know, this has given us the opportunity to come together physically and to connect has been a real gift. You know, so even if we just start with, you know, that, I mean, what we've learned together and what we've experienced together this year has been life-changing, really. Certainly has been for me. I mean, the support that I have felt, all of you, through the death of my brother and everything that I went through, I've never felt that in my life, certainly not in this life. You know, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. So thank you. And I think that this is what we need to be building on. We need to be building on the connections that we've made this year. I hope that we can move forward into this next year, just continuing to build on this group and what we have brought together. You know, that idea of bringing all the lights across the world together so that we can join as one force, and not be alone, kind of shining in the dark, has been for me something that has been incredibly powerful. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here. I can see there's been a lot of messages of feeling the same way. So thank you. Okay, so anything anyone would like to ask, or anything any of you would like to share?
I'm going to barge in. That was quite emotional, Kate. It's very nice to hear. I'm glad we've actually been supportive to you, because you've done so much for us. Well, I'm speaking for me. I mean, life-changing, absolutely life-changing. So, and I think what I've really felt in the last few days, you'll be pleased to hear, Megan, I've felt the shift, it's happened, is how lucky I am. I've got the love of so many good friends, and I've really felt that, which I don't usually feel. And I've just spent 3 days with this elderly couple over Christmas, and I've had the best Christmas I've ever had. I think because I was just myself. I loved it. I appreciated everything. I didn't feel like I was a charity case taken in for Christmas. You know, I felt I brought something to the party, so I felt good about myself. So yeah, it's been completely total shift this week. I love it. I'm really excited for 2021 now, actually, even the next few days. So it's great, feeling really good. So thought I'd share.
You're looking much lighter.
Yeah. I've just spent 3 days being fed and watered by the best chef in the entire world. So I've done nothing but eat. Cheesecake, turkey, chocolate, you name it. I've stuffed my face. Absolutely brilliant. No, I've loved it. Well, loved it.
Good. That's brilliant.
Kate, I'm glad that other people are, like, I have this list of things I wanted to get done. And I've had a really peaceful time here by myself, and I zoomed in with my family, and I really had made peace with being here, but I have gotten zero done. And so I'm going to give myself permission that that's okay, because I mean, my Christmas cards I bought back in November. Now I'm notorious for sending out New Year's cards, and one year it was Valentine's by the time they got them, but they always get them. I send out like 140 cards, and they're sitting here in a bag behind me, and you know, I write a Christmas letter, and it's usually pretty humorous, but I'm having a hard time writing a lot of humor. So I keep trying to write it in my head. But for me, this group, and I know I've said it before, has kept me sane through all of this. And I look back to when we started back in March, when I joined the group anyway, and to how uncertain everything was, but that this was one certain thing. And I don't think I've missed a week since, because it's the one certain thing that happens in my life. And I'm always uplifted. It's like the time I couldn't finish the Christmas tree, I hung up with you guys and I went out in the living room and finished the Christmas tree, you know. And by the way, it's beautiful. But, you know, it's just such a weird time. And I look forward to 2021. On Christmas Day, I was talking to one of my oldest friends, and I have a brother who I think I've mentioned he's mentally ill, and he started with some really dark stuff. And I was able to just go, no, it's Christmas, and you're either going to talk about Christmas or we're going to hang up now. And another friend of mine who went on, and by the time he got done, I said, well, gosh, that was uplifting, not, you know, I don't know. So, but I've been able to stay okay, you know, like count my blessings. And that's what I've been doing this holiday season, looking at the fact that there's people all over the world suffering. And I've had some tough losses too, but I'm here, I have food, I own a home, I have a job. And so when I start to listen to people, I just go, no, I'm going to focus on all of the good things. You know, I could take a hot shower. You know, I have electricity. You know, I have internet, and I have friends now who, for me, it's just a big deal because I've traveled some, but not a lot. So I have these friends from all over the world now. You know, I never knew anybody from the Southern Hemisphere either, you know. So, but I will say I have always for a long time had a very strong draw to South Africa, though I never knew why. So I think you're right. I feel like I've known all of you forever, and that I trust you guys so much. So anyway, that was long-winded, but I too am incredibly grateful for what this group has brought, and for you, Kate. I stumbled on your writings a couple of years ago, and I think I wrote to you once, not really thinking you'd write back, and you did, and I went, wow, you know, this isn't just this is a person behind that, you know. So anyway, I love you all, and I hope 2021 we can stay together and create wonderful new things.
Thank you, Nancy. I do too. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. And maybe you'll come over to South Africa one day and I can show you around.
The stupid thing, I think I told you guys, I had a chance to go to South Africa just before I met all of you, like last fall. My best friend's daughter was studying in Cape Town, I think, and she was there for months. And my friend and her family and her sister went over there, and her daughter, but they were going for a long period, and I didn't, you know, whatever. So yeah, I'll put it on my bucket list. We'll travel again someday.
We will. We will. One day all of this nonsense will be over and we'll be able to visit each other.
So I did sort of like the Hawaii idea.
Yeah, I kind of think if we could all head to Hawaii.
I was about to mention that when all this traveling is allowed again. Are you ready for us, Jennifer? In person with you.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
How have things been since I hope all the earthquakes and volcano eruptions have settled down?
They have. We had an incredible wind yesterday. It was just hair-raising, which I can't even describe it. We were in the car driving with the kids back from the airport, and we had taken them to watch the sunset at the beach, and it was this dust storm. And as we were driving along the coastal highway, there were trees had blown down, whole trees that had been blown down in the road. And I just kept thinking, this is the spirit of the planet saying, everything is changing. Everything is changing. Yeah. So, yeah, it was, it's the signal of the birthing of newness. Absolutely.
Yeah, I always think that when those kind of winds blow, it's the winds of change are moving through, you know.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Yeah. I had a bit of a surprise. I was telling a friend here on our one of our first days here about our plans for moving to Canada, and he just looked straight at me and he said, "Oh, well, that's interesting, but what if you're called to be here?" And it just threw me for a loop. And since then, I've really been in deep discernment about that. And who knows, if it happens, then, and we could all gather here, that would make my soul sing.
Well, that would be quite something. I do feel that there are going to be a lot of unexpected changes for us. You know, I do think that I mean, even for myself, for years I felt like I'm, you know, steadily moving forward on my path, but I'm feeling like there's stuff coming that good stuff, but unexpected, and I'm excited for it. I think it's time for some exciting new developments that keep us enthusiastic about life.
As long as we remember to go with the flow, Kate, don't resist it. Go with the flow.
Yeah. Exactly, Megan. I think that is key.
It's weird, Jennifer. Just before when Kate was talking about Hawaii and all of us going there, I had this thought. Oh yeah, that's Jennifer's actually moved to Hawaii. Oh yeah, yes, that happened. I don't know why, but I mean that doesn't mean to say anything. But it's just weird that I felt like you'd moved there suddenly. I was like, I had this memory of you having moved there. It's just totally weird.
Wow, yeah, that's amazing, Anita.
Who knows what it means.
Exactly.
Well, I'm up for that retreat in Hawaii. Maybe we'll do 2022, all those twos. And anyone else have any questions or anything they'd like to share?
Yeah, Kate, I maybe do have a question. I have been feeling, I mean, it's been quite a bumpy sort of time. Beautiful, beautiful moments and wonderful time with family over Christmas and everything. But I have been, the closer we get to the new year, and I think it's also because I'm so aware of the whole great conjunction thing, and I find it difficult to not feel it as quite a pressure. And I don't do that well with that kind of pressure because I tend to go back to my more judgmental self and all of that. And I I'm feeling like, if I think back even 2 months ago, I was feeling like, oh my God, I've got this. I know exactly what I'm doing today. And to be honest, that has totally disappeared. I just feel unbelievably daunted at the moment about next year, about what I want to achieve. I'm like, what was I thinking? How did I even think I would? I don't know. Does that make sense?
Complete sense, Anita. And it's interesting. I was speaking to someone this last week, and they were mentioning they were feeling very anxious and uncertain about where they were moving, in what they were moving into in the next year, and the state of the world, and whether we're going to be able to travel and whether we'll be able to do all the things that we would like to do. And but this level of uncertainty and anxiety was the strongest. And one of the things that I became aware of this week, after the conjunction happened, is this real feeling of, we've been in a space for so long. It's almost like we've been held in this space that is this big. And as we've moved through this time, we've moved out of that space and into a much bigger space where there's so much more opportunity and so many more potentials available to us. We've become comfortable in the space. We know it. We know the limits. We know the boundaries. We know where we sit. We know our place in that space. Now, with the boundaries almost being removed and moving into this expanded space, there is this level of uncertainty and anxiety, because it's like, well, now I'm in a much bigger space. I don't know where my place is. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't, you know, what I knew is no longer there. And this, because we have energetically moved into a completely new space, and it is a much more expanded space. And whereas before, you know, we've been taught to find our place in the world. We've been taught to allow the world, the external world, to determine for us who we are, how we behave, what we do, how we do it. Whereas now we're being told that that compass, that which determines everything about us, is something that we need to find inside of ourselves. So that level of stability or security, and I can't really think of a different word, I suppose level of security in the expanded space is within us. So that's where I'm feeling this real draw to move inside, to really center ourselves, to ground ourselves, to find our foundation within ourselves, because in this expanded space, we can't. I mean, we will be moved to where we need to be moved, whether that is a physical moving or an energetic movement. We are moving, we are being moved. You know, the energetic structure of this new cycle will determine where we go. And because we're stepping into this space that is completely unknown, I mean, this cycle that is being birthed is something completely new. It's never been experienced. If we look at the previous cycles, and these cycles happen every 13,000 years or every 26,000 years, there's a bigger one. But in the past, we moved through these cycles knowing that we were being guided by a particular force. So, you know, if we look back to the beginning of time, we look at the first cycle was probably guided and driven by the feminine. And, you know, then the feminine surrendered her lead and allowed the masculine force to step forward. And that was the guiding force behind us and what drove us in developing and creating our world. And now we're stepping into the space where those masculine and feminine forces are joining together to be able to work together to create a new world, to create a new reality, and to create this new earth. And that is not something that has ever happened before. Certainly not in, you know, I've done an incredible amount of research, both within myself and within Google. And I'm yet to find anywhere that can, you know, can expand. They talk about these cycles. They talk about the shift of the energies and how it's the masculine or the feminine, and then the masculine, and then the feminine again, and then the masculine again, and so these cycles have been going on for thousands and thousands of years. But the cycle that we're stepping into now is this feminine and masculine force. We don't know how to work with that. We've never had that opportunity. So this is something that we are doing that is completely different. There is no memory within us, no soul memory within us that knows how to do this. So even from a soul perspective, it is completely new for us. And that's where this inner alignment between our own masculine and energy forces within us is so important and key, because as those two forces unite within us, that is what will give us the foundation and the centeredness and the balance and the ability to be able to move forward. And we will have to, in a sense, it's those two forces plus the intuitive aspect of us, that soul aspect of us, that will work with these two energies within us to give us the ability to work with this expanded space and to find our way through it. And one of the things that I think is going to become so important moving forward is this deep awareness that we have about the balance between the masculine and feminine within us. It is going to be something that we need to become very, very conscious of, and working with, you know, what does my feminine feel like? What does my masculine feel like? When I'm utilizing my feminine energy, how does that feel? What do I do with that energy? And then when I'm utilizing my masculine, what does that feel like? And how do we move between those two energies, but then unite them together to be able to move forward? This time that we're in, about us learning how to work with that, is to go deeply inside of ourselves, to feel what that balance feels like. You know, we can, one of the things that's coming to me now is that we can really work with our physical body and to be able to determine from our physical body how balanced those energies are within us. If we look at the feminine being the left-hand side of our body and the masculine being the right side of our body, even if you just close your eyes and tune into your body, are your shoulders aligned? You know, is one shoulder higher than the other? You know, okay, they're out of balance. How do I bring that balance? What's going on? If your legs are out of balance, if your hips are out of balance, you know, we can look for these really important structural points in our body to be able to determine from a physical point, are we in balance? And then go into it intuitively and say, okay, well, you know, why is my one shoulder up? Why is, you know, I mean, I've got a bit of a stiff neck on the right hand side. So I know that there's, you know, there's something that's trying to get my attention, or, you know, what's going on there? Where's the resistance in me to bring, so we are needing to become very conscious of ourselves as an energetic being and these two forces that are becoming the guiding force in this new cycle, but also the guiding forces within us. And when we tap into that, I think that this uncertainty or this anxiety that we may be feeling about this new expanded space will dissipate. Suddenly, really, you know, we do have it in us. We've planned this life on from a soul perspective. The plan is there. We do know what we're doing. We just sometimes can't remember. And I think that if we can also get excited, I mean, someone's written here, Lorraine has said it's new, but so exciting. It is incredibly exciting to be part of this massive shift and working with these two energies so closely and in a way that's never been done before.
Can I ask something, Kate? So with regards to the cycles, these cycles that we're going into, and from what you're saying, it would make sense that this whole pandemic business and the fact that it's a global pandemic is really about the universe giving us a stop and saying, everybody, I mean, you say that this is a time that we need to go inside. And given that going inside is not always either easy or desirable, because what you find inside is usually hard, and that journey is hard, this forces us, we have been, all of us, all over the world, forced to go inside. So it would seem that if we need to find, because everything has a place, everything has a reason, so it would just seem that this is a natural stop, the way of saying stop. The whole universe, every single one of you needs to go in order to make that shift, in order to rebirth and understand how to rebirth, which we couldn't do if we were all running around living the way we have been living our whole life. That's what it seems is coming.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it is, I remember at the beginning of all of this stuff in March, or coming across a video that was sent to me that was an interview with Zach Bush, and I think I've spoken about him before on these webinars, and it was incredible listening to him speaking about what this pandemic and this virus is bringing to us and the gifts of it, and you know, this awareness of needing to accept and embrace death. And you know, I remember listening to him and thinking, okay, he's talking about death in not just a physical sense. He's talking about death in a symbolic sense as well, because you know, this has been a process of death that we have moved in, something within us and within our world that has died, that has come to an end. And we are now moving into this new space. And I mean, incredibly enough, I came, you know, the beginning of this year, I knew that someone was going to die in my family. I did know that. I expected it to be my mother, but it wasn't. And I remember feeling this year and thinking, wow, there's a lot of death coming. And it was before I realized, obviously, you know, with the pandemic and the lockdown and everything that's happened, I suddenly realized, you know, what that feeling had been trying to tell me. And I think that as we've moved through this year, I've been very conscious that there is something within us and within our world that is dying and coming to an end. And this pandemic virus, whatever you want to call it, is helping us. It is helping us to, firstly, by giving us that pause to be able to go within, but also helping us face this process of death and dying and the end of something. And I always believe and know to be true that you know, there is purpose in everything. There is purpose in even the most horrendous acts that you can possibly imagine. There is purpose in them. Nothing happens without reason. So there has always got to be a deeper reason for why things happen. And I think that what we've gone through this year, the understanding of the depth of it will only really be realized as we move forward into the future. You know, we're probably in 10 years' time going to look back and go, wow, you know, if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened, and this wouldn't have happened, and that wouldn't have happened. And I mean, how is there, I can't imagine, and I have tried to think, okay, what could happen on a global scale that would get the world to change? You know, if I look back and when there was that incredible tsunami that happened in Indonesia, you know, that was 9/11. You know, there are a couple in the past that have been incredible turning points for humanity, and they impacted the world on a global scale, and they impacted the collective. But was the change big enough or significant enough or hard enough?
Well, it's because they didn't hit everybody. This has touched everybody. We needed something that touched us all. Every single individual on earth has been touched by this, and that's what it takes.
Just to say, Kate, that the tsunami was definitely 2004 because I was on honeymoon in Thailand. So I remember it well. Should have been a sign of my marriage to come, but there you go. But
yeah, that must have been quite a quite a honeymoon, Fiona.
It was quite a honeymoon, yeah.
Yeah, but I think you're right, Fiorenza. It is this. This is something that has touched the rich, the poor. It doesn't matter what religion you are, what race you are, what nationality you are. It's touched every single person, and it's obviously what's needed to have happened.
Yeah, the great leveler, the great leveler.
Yeah, it has definitely been that.
Fiona, on my honeymoon, and some of you are probably too young to even remember, but there were like 800 or 900 people that committed suicide down in a community in Central America, from San Francisco, which is where I lived at the time, in Jonestown. A leader led them all to suicide. And the other thing that happened that week was that somebody came into San Francisco, again, where I was living, into the city hall and killed the mayor and a city councilor, and they made a movie about it, whatever. That was my honeymoon week. And again, I should have taken it as a sign.
Yeah, those signs that we like to ignore. I had 2 car accidents the month before I got married.
I did spend my honeymoon in Hawaii, you guys, and it was beautiful. And so.
Well, at least some of it was good.
I was going to say, Nancy, let's hope your next one is more fun.
my honeymoon was definitely the highlight of my marriage. Let's just leave it at that.
It's a good thing none of our ex-husbands will be on these webinars. Certainly not mine. Okay. Any other questions or anything else that anyone would like to share? I must say I'm pretty happy that my children don't listen to these either. They'd probably be furious with me, all the things I say about them. Although I did say to my eldest daughter, I said to her, well, I said, I hope you know that I do talk about you on my webinars. And she said, of course you do. So I said, well, you know, it's actually just getting you back, because there are times where I send her a WhatsApp message and they often are little jokes between us that she'll know what I'm meaning. I mean, there was one, the latest one was I went for a walk and as I came home, the sun was setting behind the mountains and it was very beautiful. And I saw this shape suddenly shoot across the mountains. I thought, geez, that's an alien. So I sent her a message and I just said, I've seen a spaceship. It's definitely the aliens are here. And it's something I always joke with them. And she took a screenshot of it and posted it on Instagram for all her friends to have a good laugh at. Look at my mad mother. So I said, well, I talk about you on the webinar, so. So luckily they don't listen. They'd get far too bored.
Well, we won't tell them.
What was that, Nancy? I missed it. You went a bit.
Sorry, I said we won't tell them. Don't worry. Well, it's our secret.
Yeah, good. Thanks. Okay, so if anyone's got anything else they'd like to share, otherwise we can. Oh, Lynn, I like that. Lynn's just mentioned the only way I feel that I'm stable is when I anchor into my heart chakra. Yeah, me too. I'm really glad that heart palpitation thing has stopped. I haven't felt that again. That was really weird. So that seems to have settled down somewhat. Yeah, but there's other funny movements happening, but I think it's just the energies, or my body adjusting to the energies. But it'll be interesting as we lead through this week, because we are coming up to a full moon on the 30th, 31st of December. So things are moving up energetically, are going to increase. Elizabeth Rose said that there are people developing 5 chambers in their hearts like bees. Wow, I like that. The new evolved human. I was always interested to see that you know, these kids that have come in the last 20 odd years, their brains don't operate like our brains did. You know, where we had the left and the right brain, and the synapses kind of cross between the two. These kids' brains work as one whole, so they're not separated into a left or a right brain. Hence why they're labeled as ADD or ADHD or whatever. Yeah, so that's interesting about the heart. I wouldn't be surprised if that was true. I think that maybe that's what we've been feeling. We're developing a 5th chamber ourselves. Maybe just on an energetic level, but who knows? Someone can get to a heart, what's it called, an ECG, and have a look. Yeah, Elizabeth Rose says, might explain the right to left stretching. Yeah, because it has been this movement. Yeah, could be. Okay.
Do you think autism falls into that same thing with the ADHD? So much more of that, and that kids just are just maybe too sensitive, haven't, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've worked with a couple of autistic children over the years, and they are incredibly sensitive. It's almost like they don't have any kind of energetic sheath that kind of protects them from all of this energy of the world. And as a result of that, they're not here, you know, they kind of pop into their body and they leave. But when they are here, you know, you can actually see it in their eyes. They suddenly land and they connect, and then they're gone again. And working with those children, you know, and for anyone who knows of people, families that have autistic children, I mean, everything that they have to do for those kids is about creating an environment that is safe and stable and secure and gentle around them, because any kind of harshness they cannot deal with. And that harshness it doesn't necessarily even have to be a physical harshness. It can just be an emotional harshness. I mean, they really struggle to feel that I would call it the pain of the world. And I mean, for any of you that have experienced that, I had that experience once, and I was told that afterwards, it's funny how you get told afterwards. Afterwards, I was told that it was an experience that I needed to go through, because I needed to feel how much pain was in the world. And kids just can't cope. And I think that, you know, for all of us that have been born into this world, there's a level of energetic protection that surrounds us, that enables us to survive that. Because I think if we had to live within that every day and feel that every day, you know, I think that's the kind of stuff that makes you go mad. And these kids, you know, they don't seem to have that protection. And I'm not too sure why. I've never been able to figure out why, whether it's something that they're more evolved and so therefore haven't, you know, as a result of being more evolved, don't need it, although they do seem to need it to be able to cope, or whether it's something that they bring into the world as a kind of an imprint of what we're moving towards, to be able to be that sensitive. I don't know if anyone else has any insights on that.
I have a feeling, Kate, about it. It's like they come, they absorb the energies that are there, and then they go off and take it somewhere else, clear it up.
I think also
it seems to be a little bit unstable here.
Yes, you too.
I think also what they do is the way they are forces us to change.
Yes.
They come to this world in a way that is very hard for us to deal with. And we have to change ourselves in order to deal with them, because they can't change. And those of us who have had to deal with ADHD or autism or Asperger's or, you know, any of the spectrum stuff, or, you know, who have children who have children who are ADHD or any of that, you have to change. You have to change, because they won't. So then and usually they then find their way. But once they've found their way, they leave us as a changed being, and usually a better for it. So they force us into this journey, which I think goes back to the indigo children, that the indigos, the whole concept of the indigos is that they came in order to change us. And perhaps this is how they do it, because I think they don't suffer as much as we think they do. We suffer for them because we see their lives through our eyes, but they have a different perception, I think.
I agree. I agree. Okay, so I think we can move on to meditating unless anyone else has anything else they'd like to share. No. Okay. Have I frozen, or can everyone hear me? Was that someone? Okay, so let's move into a space where we can meditate. If you can get comfy, and we can see where we go today. All right. So when you're ready, allow yourself to settle into a comfortable space. And gently close your eyes. And just allow yourself to take a couple of deep breaths and really allow yourself to breathe into this space. Allow yourself to settle into this time. And allow yourself to relax and to let go. And if there's any spaces of tension or pressure in your body, just allow yourself to breathe into that space. Breathe in and let it go. And just feeling yourself settle into a place of peace and calmness and stillness. And dropping your awareness down into your heart center, in that area of the center of your chest. Just feel yourself and your awareness moving into that space. And in your mind's eye, see yourself standing before the opening to a cave. And you step forward and into the cave, allowing your eyes to adjust to the flickering lights. And in the middle of the cave, you can see a circle of stones with this small fire burning brightly in the center. And you move towards the fire and find a place to sit. You allow yourself to look into the flames of this fire, feeling its warmth and its light. And as you sit beside this fire, you feel two energies move into the cave to join you. The energy of your masculine and the energy of your feminine. And you allow these two energies to join you at the fire. And you allow yourself a moment now to observe these two energies. What do they look like? How do they seem? And do they have anything that they need to share with you at this time? Insight, guidance, wisdom. Just allow yourself a moment to connect. And is there anything that these two energies need from you to bring them into balance, harmony, and unity? And when you're ready, standing up, allow these two energies to move towards you. Feeling them standing beside you now. Feeling yourself stabilizing between these two forces of energy. And when you are ready, moving towards the mouth of the cave, allow yourself to look out at the landscape before you. This is the landscape of your new life. And some of you may see nothing but darkness or a flickering light. Some of you may see the valleys and the mountains and the rivers and the lakes and the ocean. Just recognize that whatever you observe, whatever you see is relevant and important for you. And when you're ready, take a step out of the cave. And as you do so, the space in front of you lights, and you can see a little bit more. And allow yourself to feel into any anxiety or feelings of fear or worry or concern that you have right now. Just allow yourself to feel that for a moment and allow those feelings to move through you, to be released through you. Allow yourself to let them go. Feel them being drawn from you and sent into the fire behind you, where they are transformed and transmuted. And as those feelings of anxiety or fear or worry or concern are transformed and transmuted, allow the feelings of excitement, the feelings of joy to rise up in you, the feelings of awe and wonder. And the knowing that your life will now unfold exactly as it is meant to be. That whatever challenges you face moving forward, you will face knowing that you have the strength and the resilience to move through them. Knowing that you have the support remembering that you are not alone on this journey, that we are all there with you. Adding our light to your light. And allow yourself to quickly feel the power and the force of that light that we have created together. And retaining that feeling of connection, that feeling of excitement, of joy and wonder, awe. Allow yourself to look out again at the view before you. And just take a moment now to acknowledge all that it has taken to bring you to this point. Lifetimes of healing and learning and growing and developing. And you are here. And when you're ready now, just taking a few deep breaths. Bring your awareness back into this time, into the space that we have created together. Moving your fingers and your toes. And opening your eyes when you're ready. I hope you enjoyed that. And hopefully got some balance. Thanks. You got some good insight, perhaps some guidance about how to maintain some balance between your masculine and feminine. I loved it at the end when I could just see this web of light that we've created, all these little bit pieces. It was like a web. So that was great. Thank you. I hope you all saw something when you looked out at the view and just nodded nothing or blackness. Initially, it's quite dark for me, so I was thinking, I can't really see something. Yeah, I also saw fog. But then I kind of stepped forward and it kind of lit up in front of me, and then I stepped forward a bit more and it lit up a bit more. So I think for me the message was just take the steps. It'll appear as you move forward. Don't worry about where you're heading to. The rain saw the world bright with the fog lifting. That's good. Like that. Elizabeth Rose sharing, my mail came in very despondent at first, but we got him smiling in the end. Oh, good, he found his sense of humor, did he? And my moving forward is going off a giant waterfall. Oh, lovely. Fiona had a misty Amazon scene filled with English country cottages. You and your forest. At least you found your ground in the forest now. You're not harboring about it. Lorraine's mail asked to allow some structure. Oh, sad that. He did say please, that's good. Yeah, I think mine were just pleased to be given the opportunity to be there. In the same space, I suppose. So by the time we meet, it will be 2021, which is very exciting. I'm ever hopeful we'll wake up to a new world one day. By magic, it'll all be different. But who knows what 2021 will bring. We've got someone, Emma, thank you so much. And I'm pleased that you took that you followed your nudge to take part in the webinar. Thank you. Thank you, all of you. It's been a beautiful time as always, and I look forward to continuing this into the new year. I certainly in the beginning thought it would just be something that we'd be doing in lockdown because it gave us something to do. But little did I know what it would become for all of us. So thank you. And keep well and enjoy your celebrations if you are able to have any. We've got a curfew of 11 p.m. or maybe 10 p.m. I can't remember what it is. So we certainly won't be going anywhere outside of that time. Not that I don't mind. Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, everyone. It's been an amazing time. And Happy New Year to you all.
Happy New Year to everyone. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and thank you, Kate. And that light at the end of feeling all of our light together was so powerful, really beautiful. Just wishing you all lots of love and all good things.
Thank you, and to you too.
Happy New Year, everybody.
See you all next year.